All right, 11.2 is talking specifically about the arithmetic sequence. With the arithmetic sequence, we have a specific formula where the nth term is the first term plus whatever term number you want minus 1 times d, where d is the difference. Add 3, subtract 4, whatever it is that you're looking for. But this is how the formula that we need in order to find an arithmetic sequence. It is something you have to memorize. I'm not going to give it to you on the quest. You do need to be able to plug stuff into it and find things from it. So this nth term is the final term or whatever term you're looking for. This is your first term. T1 is your first term. This n represents to the number term you're looking for. So if you're looking for the 10th term, you'd put the number 10 there. If you want the 8th term, you'd put the number 8 there. It's always minus 1. And then d is the difference. How does it go? Does it add by 3? Does it subtract by 4? Whatever. So we got 6 examples that we're going to go through. Example number 1, we're going to find the nth term of this sequence. Now, when I say find the nth term, that's the formula. That's the generalization of how to get these numbers. So I'm finding t sub n. That means I need to know what's t1. Well, t1 is the first term. What term do I want? I want the nth term, always minus 1. And then the difference, how does this go? It increases by 4. So I'm going to multiply by 4. Do some distributing, so I get 4n minus 4, and then let's put it in the proper order, combine like terms. So 4n plus 3. And if you put 3 plus 4n, it's the same thing. But you're going to use this formula to plug in the information to find the nth term. All right, example number 2. We're going to find the 11th term of the same sequence. Now, of course, you could keep going out by adding 4, adding 4, adding 4 11 times. But why do that when you have a formula? We want the 11th term. We know what the first term is. The n that we want, well, that's the term we want, is 11. And then the difference, it increases by 4. So we get 7 plus 10 times 4. 7 plus 40 is 47. If I were to go out 11 times, in the 11th spot would be the number 47. Okay, example 3 and 4 are alike because it's a little tricky. But once you see it, you get it down pretty well. What we're going to do is we're going to ask you to find a term, but we're not going to give you the first term or the sequence. All we give you are 2 other terms in the sequence. So what is the 23rd term if you know the second one is 4 and the 5th one is 22? Well, what we have to do is we have to create 2 equations. We know what T2 is. Okay, we're going to set up an equation for T2. T2 is 4. We don't know what T1 is. The term number of 4 is 2, because remember the n matches up to the term number, minus 1, and then we don't know the difference. We don't know how it goes. All right, we know the 5th term, so this is the equation for T5. We know the 5th term. We don't know the first term. We know it is the 5th term, so n, but we don't know the difference. So here, This gives me 4 is equal to T1 plus D, right? Because this is 1, so T1 plus 1D. This is 22, and this becomes T1 plus 4D. This is a system that goes back to chapter 3, where in order to get rid of a letter, we have to have opposite signs. So I'm going to switch the signs of one of them so that my T1s cancel. And I get 18 is 3D, therefore the difference is 6. Well, if I know the difference, I can plug it into one of my equations. 4 equals T1 plus 6, because that's what D is 6. And I can get my T1 is -2. Now that I know what T1 is and I know what D is, I can find my 23rd term. The 23rd term is the first term plus the term I want -1 times the difference. So -2 plus 22 times 6 gives me -2 plus 132, which is 130. When you're asked for a different value, this is always the process you're going to go through. You must set up the two systems, solve them for your unknowns, and then use those unknowns to get what you're asking for. So example number 4 is another one of these. We're going to try it again. I'm going to set it up, and then I'm going to ask you to pause the video so that you can try it on your own. So you're going to find the 20th term. If you know the second term is 19, and the 5th term is 13. So pause your video and try it and then come back. Alright, the first thing you should have done is set up your two equations. So we're going to set up the equation for our second term. So 19 is the first term we don't know, plus the second term -1 times D is what we don't know. Then we're going to set up the equation for our 5th term. 5th term is 13, so T1 plus 5 minus 1, D, gives me 19 is T1 plus D, and 13 is T1 plus 4D. When I switch my signs here so that I can eliminate, I get -6 is 3D, I get D is -2. That means it's subtracting 2 every time it goes down. Now I'm going to plug that back into my formula for D, add it over, and I find my T1. I know T1 and D. I can now find T20. The 20th term is the first term plus the term number -1 times D. So I get 21 plus 19 times -2 is 21 minus 38, which is -17. It's always going to follow that exact same pattern. Set up your two equations, solve it for D and T, and then plug those back in. So example 3 and 4 are similar to one another, just giving you more practice with them. Example number 5 is going to ask you to find the arithmetic mean of two numbers. So for example, I'm going to give you -7.8 and 3.6. Well, an arithmetic mean is exactly what you've been doing anytime you've ever found a mean, and that is the average. So average your two numbers together and divide by 2. -7.8 plus 3.6 divided by 2 is -4.2 divided by 2 is -2.1. There's your arithmetic mean, and it is just that simple. Arithmetic mean is your average. Add your two numbers together and divide by 2. Something that you've been doing for a really long time. All right, example 6. This time you're going to find and insert 2 numbers. That's going to be part A. And part B is 3 numbers between 2 other numbers. So part A, part B. So what this looks like is that I have the number 18. I want to put 2 numbers between them, and then I'm going to have the number 54. And then on part B, I have 18, but I'm going to now have 3 numbers between them and 54. So because I know it's arithmetic, because that's what we're working on today, I need to use the formula to help me figure this out. And what we do is this is our last term, so that's our Tn, and this is our first term, so that's our T1. And what we don't know is the difference. So we're going to have to find the difference. So if this is our last term, we're going to put that 54 equals the first term plus n. Well, n is the same, the number as 54, so that would be in spot number 4 minus 1, and we don't know the d. So we get 54 is 18 plus 3d. Subtract the 18, we get 36 is 3d. We get d is 12. We know the difference is by 12. So add 12, we get 30. Add 12, we get 42. And if I add 12, I better get the last number. Now that is if I was putting in 2 numbers. Well, obviously it's not going to stay the same difference if I am going to be putting 3 numbers in between. So I have to do it again, but this time 54 is 18. The 54 is not the 4th term. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5th term. So 54 is 18 plus 4d. 36 is 4d. The difference is 9. So I'm going to add 9, add 9, add 9, and at the very end I better add 9 and get the same thing. So I get 27, 36, and 45. So that's what it means to add or put 2 or 3 numbers in between, and you will be asked to do that, and this is the work for it. You have to set the last number, and then that position number is your n. Solve it down for the d. And that's going to be 11.2, your arithmetic sequences.